Welcome, welcome, Annette Dernick to the Red Couch Talk. It's great to see you again.
Yeah, I'm also happy to see you again, and I'm also very happy that we had been introduced by Ed Cohen in the United States. And this is how I love to work, to meet people from all over the world, and even though to meet people who are quite close to me at a local level. And yeah, that's what I really love to be connected.
Fantastic. Annette, tell me a bit more about a fun fact that you want to share with our audience.
Yeah, so a lot of fun facts were while intercultural trainings, also when I was abroad. So yeah, for example, let's say it sounds a little bit crazy. My biggest shock was when I arrived in Rome
Uh-huh.
um, to start there as an au pair girl, and the father of the children, he picked me up at Roma Termini. And I had a very, very big suitcase. And he looked at me and said, Annette, your suitcase is going to return to Germany within 14 days. And I stood there and thought, okay, I've just arrived, so what's going to happen? And then he told me, oh, my wife, she's going to Germany and she needs a big suitcase. So she would like to take your big suitcase on her trip to Germany.
And you probably thought, oh no, they're already firing me.
Exactly, already at the station.
Oh God, that's funny.
And the truth was, she really went to Germany to see some friends after a fortnight. And so after this fortnight, she and the two older children, at this time they were 7 and 6 years old, they left for Germany. And I stood at home together with a 2-year-old, and I had to take care of him. So yeah.
Ah, that's amazing. By the way, I was also an au pair. After high school, I went to London, and it was a total coincidence that this happened. I don't really talk about that a lot, but it was an eye opener as well. I learned so much in that first international assignment, if you want to call it that.
Yes. Yes, I can understand this very well. Yes.
So, Annette, you and I, we've been on several panel calls together. I know a bit about what you do, and you know you also what's driving you, but our audience obviously doesn't. And also, you know, it already says in your name, love and peace in companies. Do you? How did you get to this topic, love and peace in companies? Can you explain your why, your purpose a bit further?
Yeah, so how did I get it? I woke up during the night, and somehow this sentence or whatever you will call it, it was in the room. And I
Mhm.
thought, okay, that's interesting. And that's more than 10 years ago. And at this time, I did not yet know, let's say, my whole background.
Mhm.
So nearly 8 years ago, I had a burnout and I went to a clinic and they found out that I had a complex PTBS. Oh no, in English, it's post-traumatic stress disorders or PTSD. Um, and they also found out that this was related to traumatic experiences of my parents during World War II. And I've been working in several companies, and I also experienced battles and wars in companies. There were people who were kind of fighting with each other as to positions. Then there were people who got fired and all this. And so at this time, it started to make sense for me because, in my opinion, peace doesn't start somewhere where they are really having a big battle with big weapons. Peace starts within me. And then my attitude, it has an influence on the people who surround me and also an influence on how I treat the environment. So sustainability is for me very, very important. But let's come back to love and peace in companies. I really support and inspire, and I love to do this with CEOs, so with company leaders, to have a more appreciative and peaceful working culture. Because
Mhm.
what I also remember is when I started working some years ago, when I came home in the evening, I was just complaining about all the things that had happened in the company, about the coworkers, my boss, distributors, clients, and so on. And yeah, only later on I realized what kind of start is this in the evening.
Mm-hmm.
And so if people really have the impression, not only the impression, if they feel that they are welcomed in the company and that they can contribute, because that's really what we humans love to do, to contribute, to be worthy and to really make a difference. And so when we come home in the evening and if we tell our partner or whoever, oh, today we won a big deal, or we could resolve a conflict, or we had a new idea for our product, something like this, the evening starts completely different. And this is like a stone that's falling into the water. It's really making these, I think it's called ripples in English.
Ripple
Uh,
effect. Mm-hmm.
yes, the ripple effect.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's why I get up every morning,
Mm-hmm.
because I really want to contribute to more peace via the workplace and the company.
Wow, this is a very interesting topic. I just don't know if we can go there. I think
Oh,
we,
we don't have to,
no,
so
I think we can. I think we can.
okay.
You know, because obviously, we have the shared experience of growing up in Germany, and this is something other people sometimes can't relate to. Even here in Switzerland, people don't have that shared experience of being, growing up or having like relatives that, were so affected by two world wars. And in addition, also feeling guilty about everything that happened.
Yeah.
When you found out, that this post-traumatic stress disorder was not your own stress or not your own trauma, should probably say, how did that lead to like a life change in you? Can you can you talk a bit more about the journey that you had from that moment that you had your burnout, but even maybe before, to the type of work that you do today?
Yeah, so it's not that um no, I'll start at a different point. So my parents had been traumatized, and this influenced their behavior.
Mm,
And so they did things that I think it's more probable that people do these if they have had bad experiences.
mm,
And so I also feel kind of a responsibility to, yeah, to look for a peaceful an environment, or to be surrounded with people who feel peace, because we have so many places in the world where they really have war. And I can't go to those places. But what I can do, and I always say it starts over here. So, what I can do is to share my experience, even though I do not talk about the background of my experiences very often. What I can really do is to change my communication, to change my attitude, to change what I am doing.
mm,
So that my children grew up in a different way. And even though I don't put any blame on my parents, but for me, it really was an eye-opener that when I was in these clinics, one of them was a trauma clinic, that I kind of finally understood it. And there is the sentence of Kierkegaard, we live the life forwards and understand it kind of backwards.
mm.
That was really for me eye-opening, and
Yeah.
it was 8 years ago, so I wasn't any longer a very young person. I thought, okay, now I understand a lot what has happened, and for me it was really that it gave me more. I don't know if I can use the English word drive in this sense. So to really, yeah, give it even more attention, to not push it forward, because if I push it, it can be a little bit aggressive, but to live it and to kind of incorporate it. And that's what's so important for me, and that it's not one against the other. And it's not that I want to tell people you have to behave like this to be
Mhm.
peaceful. No, that's works. It really works starting inside so that I'm peaceful within me. And that's not always very easy, I have to admit. And then to really support those people who really have something in their companies. So for example, only some days ago, someone with whom I'm working together, he sent me a message, and I said, "Oh, I had understood it another way, and so please change it." And then he said, "Oh, but it wasn't me; it was my employee, and now I'm going to talk to the employee, and he has to leave." And I said, "But you don't want to fire him?" Oh, yes. And then he wrote back, "That's exactly what I did. And this person was kind of overdue." And I really thought, okay, in my opinion, we can really resolve these things in other ways. And that's why, for me, communication is so important. And this is also when it comes to international communication, because I know that there are also misunderstandings. And now I'm making a sign, and I ask everyone to apologize if this sign has a bad meaning for you. So it's the okay sign. And I think that you know quite well what it means. And so to come back to the point, there are very often small actions that lead to maybe misunderstandings, aggressions, and so on. And yeah, so that's why I'm even more interested in supporting others to, yeah, live a more peaceful life. If this has answered your question. Otherwise, please ask again.
We have today is the day of leadership. The last Red Couch talk was also about leadership, and we also talked about toxic leadership. And one of the things that just came to my mind, I think when we met originally, it's probably like 2 years ago. The trend in leadership was the servant leader, and there was already the backlash against DEI. The backlash was already there, especially in the US. And because, we were on these US calls, we knew about that. But now at the moment, I think, it's the atmosphere in companies has shifted completely. And
Yeah.
this is something I was worried about in the beginning of the year. And we see it in the politics and the political debates as well. The way the discussion culture is, I mean, it's not even like human anymore. It has become kind of, I would say, embarrassingly low level.
Yes.
I mean, even in politics, where you would expect the people to have like some sort of decency and background, and, that they would discuss with each other in a, let's say, civilized style, that currently doesn't happen.
Yes.
So I assume you don't have really a an easy time selling your work at the moment. So how do you work mainly with? Do you work mainly with private clients, corporate clients? How does it? How did you notice? Also this shift. Did you see that as well, or is it just me?
No, so first of all, yes, I see the shift. And in my opinion, that's what's happening very often, because before there's really, let's say, this turning point.
Mm,
Very often things become worse, worse, worse
mm,
until they have reached such a point then when it's turning. So I realize the same as you do, that people think, oh, I don't need this. And as to this person I've just been talking about, I answered him and I said, "Oh, but you could have changed it another way." And then he just responded. So it was all via WhatsApp, kind of. Yeah, I can't judge about the situation, something like this. And so, yes, I really realized this. And for me, it's very important not to work with people who don't want to change.
mm,
I
mm,
inspire people who really want to change. So I'm a speaker, coach, and author. So it's not only the coaching, it's also the speaking business. And so people approach me and ask me to be speaking. So for example, I've had a very good talk in a famous institute here in Germany. It was about introducing feedback culture. And so that's the work that I do. And for me, also let's say the marketing trends, the marketing tools that we use, in my opinion, it's changing as well. In the way that it's no longer this that oh, you have to do this and you need my service urgently. So I really have had the feeling that this year, and it had been a very interesting year for me, that I'd already been living the transformation that we are in.
Mhm.
So to also accept if people think differently, to just let them be and to concentrate on my, let's say, inner world and work, and to also accept that there might be a person, I don't know the English word, but when you're sailing and you don't have a wind, what's the English word?
I don't know.
Okay, so
No wind in the sails?
yes, something like this. So in German, it's Laute. And if this occurs, yeah, then it is as it is.
Uh-huh.
To and then still to be peaceful inside. And I know that like what was sailing, there will be a wind again. And yeah, to stay positive and yeah, to talk to people and to offer what I do. And yeah, so yes, I admit that it had not been, let's say, the easiest year. At the same time, also a very interesting year. Yeah, so that's it. And what I really also love about your work and what I find also so interesting is really the intercultural context because things, well, companies are going internationally, and so they really need some support in this way as well. And there are really, really very, yeah, many things how to support them. And I think it's also very important to stand together, let's say, as a community. So that's why also I also love to be connected um, throughout the world and not to be. So today we have this possibility to talk via the computer, what our ancestors didn't have.
Mhm.
And so to really use these connections to contribute to a more peaceful world. And I'm quite sure that we will be successful. And that's why I also love to connect to people, to like-minded people really all over the world. And especially you mentioned it when we have the impression that also the leaders of the countries, if they sometimes react in a way, to put it very politely, is difficult for me to understand.
Mhm.
To really look for connections that are trustworthy and for connection that really make a difference. Let's put it like this. And if the people who are leading a country or state, if they react in a interesting way, to really be connected as people and not to look too much on those people who are kind of ruling a country, even though I know that we are dependent on them as well. But I also believe in these, let's call them grassroots initiatives.
Mhm.
And I think that this will be the future if we really stand together and if we really care for our world, also for our environment. I'm convinced that we are going to be successful.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you. And also I agree with, that we still need to focus on the people who actually are interested in our work.
Yeah.
And there are enough. There's probably a great majority of people. I also think we are through the valley of tears when it comes to the economic downturn. So, I think we're already going up again. It's just not, nobody knows yet. Yeah. So I think we have the worst of this year we have already behind us. And and then, as as you mentioned, your work as a speaker, author, coach, trainer, facilitator, probably also in companies. I think we also we're probably used to these waves that sometimes we're just more in demand than on other times. My other question that I would have for you, Annette, is now if you could go back in time and speak to a younger version of yourself, what kind of advice would you give them?
Be confident. Trust your own gut. Speak up for yourself.
And what makes you say that?
Yeah, really, these experiences. So when I was small or a young girl, um, I had my ideas, I had my plans, and I followed some of them. So, for example, what I've been telling about my stay in Rome,
Uh-huh.
because I had been working as a language secretary at this time, and we had been importing toys from Japan and other countries. And one day I saw an advertisement in our newspaper in the small city near Hamburg where I lived at this time, and it was only two lines: "Au pair girl wanted in Rome."
Hmm.
And I gave my boss the note that I was going to leave the company. I sold my car. I left the flat that I'd been living in, and yeah, I just went to Rome. So at this time, I was on the one hand, let's say, a young woman being open for the world, and at the other hand, I still had these, let's say, obeying attitude in me, and I think that somehow is also typical for my generation. And so today, I really would tell my younger self, stick to this, let's say, adventurous side of yours, and don't try to do too much to please others. And at the same time, I had learned in my early childhood that it's really important to please my parents, what they wanted from me. And yeah, so that's what I wanted to would like to tell the young version.
Fantastic. That's so great. I want to also ask you a bit more about your networking because you already mentioned, you like to be in exchange with people from all over the world. But how do you build your professional relationships?
In very different ways. So first of all, yes, I have a website.
Hmm.
Yes, I have on YouTube a channel with some streamings that I've done. I'm on LinkedIn. I've made kind of a small pause with my posts, and but what I really love most is to be in direct contact with people.
Uh-huh.
So I'm a member of the Chamber of Commerce here in Cologne.
Uh-huh.
They have different meetings. Some are regarding circular economy, some are specialized on a certain type, on a certain branch. And I really love to connect with people over there. And I also always love to listen to those people. So, what are their challenges? And I'm also very fond of visiting companies to see how they work. And so sometimes this is organized by the Chamber of Commerce as well. So some time ago, we had an excursion to a big logistics company at the airport in Cologne. And so this is one, and so another thing that I do, and then I also love to join what I would call professional networks. So, for example, the German Speakers Association, the network for German speakers, and this is related to the National Speakers Association in the United States. So it's also a worldwide network. I'm member of a network. It's also worldwide. It's called G100. It was founded by Dr. Habin Arora from India. And the 100 means that there are 100 topics, and it's from medicine over biology, cinema, cultural things, and also to peace and to harmony, and in 100 different countries. So I'm the country chair for Germany for positive, for authentic harmony and positive masculinity. And yes, so I'm also connected to people worldwide. I've been member of it's called Association of Transformational Leaders in Europe. And yeah, no, it also differs,
Mhm.
the networks where I am. So as I'm what is called in English a clinical supervisor, in German we only call it supervisor. I'd been in the German Association of Supervisors and Coaches, and I also love to do honorary work. So
Mhm.
in this organization, I'd been in the board of directors, even if we can call it for an organization, for 3 years. And yeah, I've also been very active in the German Speakers Association, and yeah, there's another. So there are different levels of networks, also regarding different phases of my life. And yeah, there I also found a lot of people, a lot of like-minded people.
Mhm. Mhm. It sounds to me like you have 500 hours in one day. How do you do this, Annette? How do you manage all of this?
Yeah,
It's a
so
lot.
yes, I really, yeah, so I've had a burnout.
Yeah, but you
I
don't have a burnout now, right?
no,
You're
no, no,
fully
no, no,
fledged, full of
no.
energy.
Yes. No, but I really had been working too much. I
Uh-huh.
had been working as a lecturer for many, many, many years on a private university.
Uh-huh.
My favorite topic, it was really intercultural competence, to prepare students for their stay abroad before they went for their semester abroad. And yeah, so at this time I was really working these from 500 hours a day, which led to my burnout. And since then, I looking really for, and maybe I will now use a word that's not so common in business context. I'm looking for nourishing connections.
Mhm.
Um, as to the work, also regarding friends and so on, and to have a better balance between giving and receiving.
Mhm.
And I would say, and this could also be an advice to my younger version, to also feel worthy to receive and not always to give, because I think this also led to my burnout, because I thought that I always have to support everyone with everything. And so this has now changed. And yeah, I'm grateful to receive. And it's easier for me to say no now to things that, yeah, are nourishing me. And yeah, and to say no in also an appreciative way. Yeah. So, and to really, I would also say that I've changed kind of my system to, in the morning, I do the thing that I don't like at all. And so my day already starts differently. And then I start other things. And if I haven't done everything I wanted to do in one day, I kind of have mercy with me and I say, okay, never mind. And sometimes things of my to-do list, they aren't necessary any longer. So it's really a mixture between listening to my inner voice
Mhm.
and using methods. Maybe we can call them time management methods, something like this.
I think that's a really interesting topic that I have also very often with my clients. And I just mentioned it in the last recording, the last call, about when you how you use your time strategically. But what I mean by that is not strategically in the sense so that you make more money, but strategically so that your work and your work is in line with your purpose, so
Exactly.
that you can use the time for your purpose and not for other things. And for me, that's a constant review, like, like almost on a weekly basis. I look through my task list and think, is this really, is this really going to move the needle for anybody?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and most of the time for me, it just means that I prioritize my clients and their needs. And usually I work really, that works really well. If I prioritize them and my team, everything else is sort of logical. Um, but I also, know that sometimes we get this tendency to get into like busy work. Or, we get into this like rat race. Just an example, you mentioned social media. And I sometimes have this, that I just, I get sucked into something. And later I think, why? Why did I do this? It didn't make me happy. It didn't contribute to a better world. It's just busy work. And I think, that's something as a self-employed, an entrepreneur, we constantly need to juggle to, like, between what do we actually want to do versus what are we doing.
Exactly. Yes.
It's good. Great. And Annette, do you have any interesting launches, new books coming up? What's on your agenda?
Yeah, so one of my, yeah, let's say goals is to have my book, The Peace Factor, translated into English.
Oh, wow.
I've already started with the translation. At the same time, I'm not yet sure. No, I have a publisher with whom I would like to publish it, but so far, yeah, there are not yet, let's say, the connection. And yes, I really my goal really is to support people and especially companies in these times of transformation. And yeah, as I have a background in business administration, I know quite well, also from my own company, what's important. And yeah, so in my, I think that it will become much more important to have a balance between, let's say, the economical needs and the personal needs. And I'm also convinced that if I look on myself and what makes me happy, and if companies really can do just a little bit of this, to include happiness and contentment in their companies, then I'm really convinced that the work will be easier, that people will go home, as I've already mentioned, in another mood in the evening. And yeah, so I will really want to continue this work. And only yesterday we have had a wonderful meeting, and I really have the impression that a lot of people are already in this time of transformation, only that they haven't yet realized it and that they are kind of there's a nice quote that now I don't remember it in English. It's from Mark Twain, and it's like when we realized that we couldn't reach our goals, we just doubled our efforts. And in my opinion, this is what's happening just now. When people see, oh, it's getting more difficult, they are doing more and more and more. It's like in this hamster wheel,
Mhm.
increasing the speed, and this doesn't help. The only thing that will help is to get off the hamster wheel. And it's important to have the courage to really say, okay, I'm now leaving the hamster wheel. And that's what I've did in the last 2 or 3 months. I said, oh, I'm just leaving the hamster wheel. And yeah, so I'm kind of curious what the next year is going to bring me. And I was really concentrating on myself, because in my opinion, that's really what's important. And now that everyone is talking about AI, I also have a speech, and the title of the speech is "The Biggest Cyber Risk in Companies is Human." Because it's not that AI is the difficulty, but in companies, when people are not content, it's much more likely that they are going to click on one of these phishing mails.
Mhm.
There are also some numbers that people who feel treated in a bad way by the company, they do it on purpose. And so one another topic for me really will be not to be against AI, because for me it's always how can we combine things? How can we put them together? And I'm quite sure that AI will bring forward in us or will bring to the surface the best qualities that we humans have, because we now have to concentrate on our real human qualities. And this leads me to what you asked me at the beginning um, regarding AI and how we communicate in companies. When I ask, for example, ChatGPT, the way ChatGPT answers very often is much more polite than many people communicate. And so I think we can also learn from each other. And it's, yeah, so this will be a big emphasis of my work in the months ahead.
Great, fantastic. Annette, I wish you all the best with your endeavors and your work and stay strong. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you ever come to Zurich, let me know. Then we can continue this conversation in person, which,
Wonderful.
would also be something that I would really appreciate.
Yes, so would I. Yeah. Thank you very much. I so much enjoyed talking to you and being on your red couch with you today. And yes, I know Zurich. I have been celebrating my 25th birthday over there when I was studying in Tübingen. Then it wasn't that far. And
Mhm.
so whenever I will be in Zurich, I'll let you know. And yes, I'm very much looking forward to meeting you there with the lake and all the nice mountains. I love this view.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
As well. Bye.